Number one with a bullet, Andy Reid, the best there is and ever will be. Andy Reid changed the game. There's no coach that has had the success that Andy Reid has with multiple teams in the way that Andy Reid has. Yes, Bill Belichick has more rings. He currently has more wins. Another couple of years, he won't. That's how close Andy Reid is to Bill Belichick right now. What he puts week in and week out when the chips are down, when it matters, when the games really, truly matter, is unmatched right now. Even still, when he's still running most of his Andy stuff and hasn't really evolved very much, he is still that dude when the time comes, as evidenced by the fact that when we look back on these playoffs, you don't remember remarkable offenses, and yet every one of those defenses, until they got to the Super Bowl, was in hell for those games. They were not having a good time, and there were some good defenses out there on the field. So Andy Reid is still the standard bearer. The gap is closing, sure, but he is the best that is and the best that will ever be. I truly and honestly believe that. He's a Hall of Famer. He's going in there, and what he did with both of those teams, yes, he's got to be remembered for the lack of success in Philly, but he's more than made up for that with the success in Kansas City. What it might have looked like if Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes weren't in Kansas City together. Like, Kyle Shanahan probably wins 2 Super Bowls. Not probably, almost definitely wins 2 Super Bowls. You probably have a Sean McDermott Super Bowl in there. Hell, maybe Nick Sirianni's got 2 at this point. These are the kinds of life-changing things that occur.
Offensive geniuses who are undone by their ego. Number 5, Sean Payton. Number 4, Kyle Shanahan. Both these guys think they're the smartest guy in the room at all times. And I don't think it really matters. I'm not saying that they won't learn from others, but at the end of the day, both of them think they are the smartest guy in the room at all times. They are going to know everything. You listen to Kyle Shanahan talk about what he wants. He's got something very specific he wants from his defensive coordinators. He wants his defensive coordinators to coach a certain way, to run a certain scheme. And if they don't kind of do what he thinks was the right call, sometimes he might fire them. So like there's that ego spreads really, really far with him. Like you can see he wants control over everything. Sean Payton's the same way. I don't think he quite reaches out as far defensively as Kyle Shanahan does, but you still see it. Like he wants to control every little thing about it. And he's not exactly willing to budge on it until he's decided he's ready to budge on it.
Really, really great coaches. Number 6, Kevin O'Connell. Number 5, Kyle Shanahan. And number 4, John Harbaugh. What he has done year after year with the Ravens, sometimes he holds on to guys a little bit longer than he should, I mean, from a coordinator perspective, but he's also a coordinator factory in a way, especially on defense there. He's able to exhibit all of that. And the way that he approaches the game, there's gambling there. There's ways to do it there. The success hasn't been there in the Super Bowl. Like we haven't seen it get to that point consistently for John, but every year I can pretty much write in Sharpie that the Baltimore Ravens are going to be a 12-win team, a 13-win team. And a lot of that I attribute not to the players on it. I do. Lamar is phenomenal, a fantastic player. They've really done a good job of building that defense as well. But it comes down to John. Like I would feel very, very confident in a lot of different setups for this team, a lot of different ways that they were trying to run their defense, run their offense, whatever it may be with John at the helm. I just have that much implicit trust in him. Kyle runs his stuff. Like Kyle is only running his stuff, but his stuff
and nothing else
is the thing, nothing else. He just can't get it over the line because of what Matty said. He's the smartest guy in the room. His ego gets in the way, but you don't get to that position as routinely as you do if you're not a consistently great coach. And at least
there's a reason their egos are that high. There's a reason their egos are that big, right? Like I want to be very clear. They're incredible at what they do and the success backs it up. Like they have proven success. Like it's not unwarranted. It's just at the highest levels, you know, this is what holds them back. I mean, it's literally what undoes them is like, they are so good at what they do that it gets them there, but it also is what ultimately costs them at the end. Offensive geniuses who control their ego. And it is number 3 is Kevin O'Connell. And number 2 is Andy Reid. For pretty much exactly what you said about Kevin O'Connell, right? Like here's a very smart offensive guy who has no issues pulling from other people's playbooks. Yeah, he's had Justin Jefferson, but look at how creatively he goes about finding ways to get him advantageous looks and to actually take advantage of him despite who his quarterback is, despite how bad his offensive line is. Here, let me use these run game. Let me use that run game. Like, it's constantly evolving, shifting, and maximizing, one, what the offense is, but two, prioritizing how to best utilize his best players. Like, he maximizes Justin Jefferson as great as he is. He gets the absolute best out of him because of the spots he puts him in. So, and then, yeah, you said it with like, he's like, hey, Flores, you want to come do everything here? Cool. I'm going to stay out of it. I don't care if your super high pressure defense isn't exactly a perfect fit for my style of offense. We'll make it work because you're really good at that and I won't meddle. Hey, guess what? Andy Reid does the same thing. Andy Reid has this offense that is awesome, that he wants to control every single little piece of. If he could play quarterback out there for his teams, he probably would choose to, honestly. But he can't. So he has Patrick Mahomes, which helps. But then, I mean, Andy Reid has this offensive system that's phenomenal. He gets great buy-in from his players. He knows how to talk to them, coach them, get everybody up and at him. Like, yeah, he's not like, he doesn't come across as tough as some of the other guys we've had in different tiers, but Andy Reid teams aren't soft. Like, they really never have been soft. They are pretty, like, they know, they practice hard. They work hard. He gets everybody up. So we know all that. And then, like, same thing we talked about with O'Connell. He did it with Bob Sutton. Now he's doing it with Steve Spagnuolo. Like, hey, this is your defense, right? Like, I can have input, but this is your defense. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to disagree with your calls, and be upset about it. You were running the defense. I'm running the offense. I've learned from my mistakes in the past when I tried to run everything. It didn't work. My ego at one point in time did get the best of me. It did get me fired from a job. Yeah. My ego did. So let me look in the mirror and figure out where to go from here. So I just think that Andy Reid at this point in his career, I think his offense right now isn't the best for the era of like football that we're in. His West Coast offense isn't the best suited for this era, and I don't think he has adapted quite as quickly as he could have. And so we will see this year if that starts to change and it's been personnel driven or just his stubbornness of where he is. But by and large, he doesn't let his ego get in the way of what he does, and we know how offensively genius he is. So he comes in at number 2 with Kevin O'Connell.
The next generation's influence is my next tier here, and that is number 3, Sean McVay, and number 2, Dan Campbell. The way that we view coaches, they kind of come in waves. You think of like old guard, you think of new guard. I feel that Dan Campbell and Sean McVay here in another 10, 15 years are going to have a litany of coaches that are trying to coach the way that they are. It feels like this is the pivot. These guys that just unabashedly love football to death, like would almost die without it. Sean McVay was so into football that he won a Super Bowl, and then as he was coming down off of the high of the Super Bowl, he did not know where he needed to go next with his life. He contemplated retiring because he was like, I just don't know what to do with myself anymore. They come off so passionate about it, and it can be cheesy. Everybody remembers Dan Campbell's first presser. They remember the biting the kneecaps and all of that, and people made fun of him. But you will not find a set of 2 coaches that get exactly what they want out of their players more so than these 2. And I just see that this is going to bridge. This is going to be the thing that kind of pivots the way that coaches in the NFL deal with players, coaches in the NFL deal with teams moving forward.
The guy, it is Sean McVay. He gets number 1 for me. I think his ego is pretty much out of the way. Like, it's a big one, like these other guys, just like all the others, but it gets out of the way. He saw the defense that stunted his entire offense, and he said, oh, let me hire the guy that's the best at that defense. And then he's kind of kept that same defensive tree for the past few years, despite losing guys, but he picked the defense because it was stopping his offense that was really good, and that has kind of become the defense that owns the NFL right now. That's like what everybody runs. So he got ahead of that curve. He has changed his entire run game 2 different times since he has become the head coach, and it's been incredibly successful every time. He doesn't get hung up on his favorite players. He just traded away got rid of Cooper Kupp and said, hey, this guy that's been my dude that I love, I'm not going to hold on to him for an extra 3 seasons. I don't need to do that. I can get better. He's not stuck holding on to guys too long. He goes for it on fourth down. He was one of the least aggressive coaches of all time. He's getting better. Andy, take note. He's actually catching up to modern NFL. I just think that he does a lot of the same stuff that Andy Reid does, but I think that he's a little quicker to change. He's a little more new age in the fact that he's willing to see, okay, what I'm doing works really well, but also it might not be the best. Let me see what else is available. Whereas I feel like Andy says, what I'm doing is working really well, so let's just keep doing it until it doesn't. Then I'll change. McVay seems to be constantly chasing that perfection outside of what he does a little bit more. Defensively, he doesn't have a ton of like he doesn't have a ton of preference. He just kind of gets what goes against him. So that's what put him over Andy Reid for me, is I just think he's a little quicker to adapt to the times than Andy Reid is right now. That's kind of what separated them for me.
Everybody spent all offseason talking about, much like you, Maddie, here, and I'm using this as an example. A lot of people have spent all offseason talking about how Andy Reid's offense has lost its fastball. It's gone. It's all gone. None of this is going to work anymore. It's just Patrick Mahomes is barely scraping by with this team, and they're leaning on the defense a little bit more. They are leaning on the defense a little bit more, but they discount what Andy brings to the table. And what Andy brings to the table is a team that is always good to start the year, outside of 1 year in Kansas City, which, by the way, they made the playoffs. They started terribly and then turned it around and made this massive comeback. In the Mahomes era, they've always started good, and they've always finished well as well. There has not been a team that has gone to this many consecutive AFC championships or title games and had the kind of success in those title games. They have made it to 4 or 5 Super Bowls. 5 Super Bowls in the Andy Reid era, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes era. I don't care if you want to lay that completely at the feet of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes isn't the player that he is without Andy Reid. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is special. He's one of one. Andy Reid helped make him that way. We talk about how, Andy let Bob Sutton run the show over here. Guess who he has a close and personal relationship with? Steve Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo comes in. They change the culture. That defense was not ranked supremely high in most metrics. Yes, we remember the playoff runs and Frank Clark and Tyrann Mathieu and how well they played in that first year. But there were some down times there. What Spagnuolo has built, because Andy Reid has given him the reins to do so, has been a juggernaut on defense over the past couple of years. We talk about all the time how top-heavy this team is. They're paying a small handful of guys an insane amount of money, and they're having to get into this. It's why we spend so much time on depth charts and how far down they're having to go, and they're so top-heavy, and it's going to catch up to them, and it never does. And if Andy Reid was an even marginally lesser coach, it would have caught up to them by now. It would have made a situation that was untenable. Part of the reason why they can build this team is because they know that Andy Reid can go out there and say, okay, well, we're going to change this up a little bit when we get to December. We're going to put our best foot forward when we get to the playoffs. We know we're going to be in the playoffs every year and have legs for a really frustrating regular season at times, but we know we're going to get into January, and the team that we're going to put on the field has the number of other guys down on this list that would kill to beat Andy Reid. His situational football and game planning is perfection, and there is nobody quite like him in the NFL. All right. Whew. That was a lot. That was a lot right there. Tuck, do we have a consensus board up here? Consensus board.
Perfect.
Oh, wow. Yes. We get Andy Reid up top. This is because I had Sean McVay number 3, that Sean McVay falls to number 2.
The slander.
Maddie. The slander. Number 3, Dan Campbell. Number 4, Kevin O'Connell. Number 5, Kyle Shanahan. Number 6, John Harbaugh. 7 is Sean Payton. 8 is Nick Sirianni. 9 is Jim Harbaugh. And 10 is Pete Carroll.
What?
Wow. It feels like I cheated a little bit there by giving 4 points to 3 different coaches there to round out the bottom.
I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect, actually. I think that is the perfect way to do the head coach rankings.